Hello everybody and welcome back to this new video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Windows box from CyberSecLabs. This is Glass. So let's jump into our NMAP scan. So we notice that we have RPC open, we have SMB open here, we have RDP open, and those are all pretty normal for Windows. But then we also notice we have VNC open, and NMAP already gives us some information. There's a user class, and the TCP port is 5900 for this VNC. Then we have some more Windows ports open in the end. So we have 4 things that we can check. I've already done a couple of those, so if you do RPC on my website pingdraconia.darkcode.com, you can check out timestamps from other videos. So SMB I've done loads of times, and then RDP I've also explained. But I have never done VNC before. So let's jump into pen testing VNC. So we know this is tight VNC, and NMAP actually has a couple of cool scripts that you can run on VNC that's going to do some enumeration. So let's run those. So we're going to do nmap -- script, and then you can do star or asterisk VNC asterisk, and this is going to run every nmap script there is that has VNC in it. We're going to run that on the VNC port, and then we supply the IP address. So let's see what that gives us. It's going to take a little second, but there we go. So it ran vnc brute, and it found valid credentials, and it found the credential password. Okay, so it did 9 guesses and it found this one. So there's a weak password being used by this Glass user. It also then ran vnc info and vnc title, which failed. But we have a password that is valid on vnc. So then we can use vnc viewer with our IP address to access this VNC. Okay, so we supply password, and we get a virtual network connection to this box, and we actually have access to this box right here. So this is just normal Windows, Windows 10, and we have access. Let's see what user we are. So I'm going to open a CMD here, and we can already notice this box is quite slow. So maybe working in the GUI here in our VNC connection might not be the best idea. We can see we're user Andrew, and I cannot really make this bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload netget to this box. So I already have a listener open at port 1001, netget.exe, and we're going to do -output netget.exe here. Okay, that's downloaded. Now let's start a listener here. So I'm going to listen. I'm going to use rlrep, then netget-lnvp on port 555, so that then here we can use netget.exe -e for the command that we want to run upon connection. Then we supply the IP address and port 555. There we go. And we get a connection back here. So now we can work here, which is a little cleaner. And from here, what do we want to do? Well, we want to do some enumeration as Andrew, see if we can become an administrator on this box. So for that, let's upload winPEAS to the box. So for winPEAS, I have my listener running at port 1000. So we can upload winPEAS.exe -- winPEAS.exe. So we can download this and then run winPEAS. winPEAS.exe. Okay, perfect. So we are running winPEAS. Let's see what this output is. So here it runs Watson, which is going to search for like Windows vulnerabilities, and it finds a ton. However, these are very difficult and very expensive to check, or they take some time. So I always just keep on looking through my output to see if anything else occurs. And if I find nothing else interesting, then I come back to these. So let's do just that. So you keep on looking. And when I'm looking through this output, I'm looking for stuff that I have seen before or that's different than what I've normally see on a system. And these red highlighted things are the most important things to look at, and see if anything is out of the ordinary. like for example, we can create directories in C, but that's not really useful because I mean that's pretty general, that's pretty normal. So that's why this red text I don't really look into further. However, this red text here, the always install elevated, is very interesting because this is a registry key and it's set to 1, so that's enabled for the registry keys on the local machine, so LM is local machine, and for the current user. And always install elevated, what does it mean? Well, it means that when Windows installer is going to install a file, an MSI file, it is going to run that as system. So it's going to run it elevated. So this means that we can create our MSI file and we can run that with Windows installer. So install it and it's going to run as root. So now we should just have to create that file. Now if you want more information on that, the Hactricks link is always very nice. As you can see here, if they are enabled, then the users of any privilege can install MSI files as system. So here are the commands that you can use to check whether this is set. So we can actually run that maybe. Take a look at that. And you can see, okay, the value is 1, so that means it's enabled. Then it also has these Metasploit payloads that are going to add a user on Windows. And it's going to add the user rotten admin with the password 123. So yeah, let's use this command to generate a payload for ourselves. It's going to generate an MSI file that we can use with Windows installer to run it, and it's going to run as root. So for this we need to go back to the box, back to my own machine here. Okay, we can run this. It's going to create a alwe.msi file, and then once that's ready we can curl that. So I already have a Python listener there, and we can get this file. -- output is going to be alwe.msi. Okay, there we go. So now we have the file saved. You can close this again. If you do dir, you will see this file is here. So now, how do we run Windows installer? Well, Windows installer can be run from the command line. So if you go here, msiexec is, and this is from Microsoft itself, provides the means to install, modify, and perform operations on Windows installer from the command line. So you pretty much just have to run it with msiexec. And this is going to add a new user. So let's first verify that that user doesn't exist already with net users. And we can see, okay, we have administrator Andrew, but no, what was the user that we're going to add? No rotten admin. Okay, so let's do msiexec on our MSI file that we just downloaded and we just created. So we run that and that runs fine. And now if we do net users, we notice that no new user has been created. Maybe it takes a little second for it to run. Or we should try it again. No, that did not work. Maybe we need to add a couple of flags to our command here. So let's try adding like quiet, qn, and I, and let's see if that will fix anything. Oh, and there we go. So that command seemed to have worked. For all of those flags, you can, let's take a look if we can check them out. So if we go to the documentation for this, so /I meant do normal installation. Don't know what the default is. Then we also supplied qn. qn means, let's see, qn means there's no UI during the installation process. And then quiet means no user interaction. Okay, so yeah, we needed to supply those. I always just try without because I often forget all of these. But with these flags, that works, and we now have this user rotten admin. Now we can try getting a shell as this user, but we could also do it through our VNC here. So and we noticed when we ran it without, actually on the VNC, Windows installer opened up. So it tried to install it, but it needed some user interaction here. So I guess that's why it failed, and that's why we needed these flags. Okay, so that's a coincidence, but that's really cool to show off. So okay, yeah, we ran it twice, so it gave 2 screens there. And now we want to get a shell here as this user, or as administrator, because this user is part of the administrators group, because that's what our Metasploit or msfvenom payload does. So let's search for CMD here, and if we right click this, we can run as administrator. And we'll notice it's going to ask us for the password for administrator, which we don't have. But if we go down here to more choices, we will see that our user here, rotten admin, is now a part here. So now we can supply the password, the password 123. So we can supply this password that we gave in that we put into the msfvenom payload. And if we say yes now, we will hopefully see that we get a new CMD prompt, which is running as system. So who am I? I'm obviously rotten admin, but I can do a dir of the administrator user's directory. So administrator, and we see that works because we are admin. And for example, if I were to run that as Andrew here, oh boy, Windows users administrator, we see that doesn't work because, well, we don't have access to that location there as Andrew. However, we are administrator here, so we have successfully rooted this box. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think it was very interesting to kind of have a VNC access, which means that we can kind of do stuff a little bit different than we usually do it. So I always like experimenting with new things and knowing as many possible ways to do something. So don't stick to the one thing you know, but try to expand and make sure you have all kinds of ways of getting in a system. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back for another one. Take care.